Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. My name is Dirk, and I'll be moderating today's call. Thank you for joining our live telephone town hall. This is an interactive forum, and we would love to hear from you. We'll be taking as many questions from participants as we possibly can live on this event. If you have a question, you can press *3 on your telephone keypad at any time, and you'll be placed in line to speak with a member of our staff. They'll take down your name and where you're calling from. Then the next time you hear your name, you will be live on the call and able to ask your question directly. Now, if you're streaming the event on our website, you can simply type your name and question below the streaming player. We'll do our best to answer as many questions as we possibly can today. Now, to get this call kicked off, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Cameron Smallwood. Cameron, welcome.
Thank you, Dirk. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Cameron Smallwood, General Manager and CEO of United Cooperative Services. Thank you for joining us today. As a lot of you know, United engages its members in many ways, including through community meetings, its annual meeting each October, Texas Co-op Power Magazine, social media, and in regular daily interactions, just to name a few. Today, we are leveraging this telephone town hall platform. During our time today, I will provide an update on major initiatives at your cooperative and continuing our navigation through the challenging times posed by the pandemic and the Winter Storm Uri. And so I know your time is very valuable today, so I'll be as efficient as possible with your time. As the moderator said, you can ask questions by pressing *3 on your phone keypad.
Thank you, Cameron. That is correct. As I mentioned at the start of the call, this is an interactive forum, and we certainly would love to hear from you. We'll be taking as many questions from participants on the phone and online as we possibly can live during this call. So again, if you have a question and you're participating through your telephone, all you need to do is press *3 on your keypad at any time, and you'll be placed in line to speak with a member of our staff where they'll take down your name and where you're calling from. Then the next time you hear your name, you'll be live on the call and able to ask your question. Now, again, if you're streaming the event online, you can simply type your name and question below the streaming player. We're going to do our best to answer as many questions as we possibly can live today, but if we're not able to address your question, please leave us a voicemail after this event ends by simply remaining on the line, or call our office at 817-556-4000. Again, our office number is 817-556-4000. If you have a question at any time during this presentation, please press *3 on your telephone keypad or enter your question below the streaming player. Cameron?
Thank you, Dirk, and I'll get started today. And so we have some audio-visual, I guess the visual side of the presentation. All of our members should have gotten a link via email. And so if you go to your email and see that link, you can see the slides that I will be talking about today. If you don't have access to that, that's fine. Just listen along, and I'll speak from a standpoint where you don't have to have the slides to know what I'm talking about. So I'll get started today. So I appreciate all of you taking time to be a part of our presentation today, and hopefully you'll gather a lot of information and be able to answer questions for you that you have. To start, I'd like to speak to our mission, and our mission is very simple. It's providing you exceptional service and value as members of the cooperative, and that's our singular focus here, and that's what we do every day is we come to work and we basically have a singular focus of providing you exceptional service and value. So hopefully we're doing an excellent job doing that, and that's what we strive for every day. Now, with that, I'll talk about your cooperative from a sort of a big picture standpoint. We're a very fast-growing cooperative as far as electric distribution cooperatives go. We're growing at almost 5%, which is a pretty big number for an electric cooperative. We haven't seen that kind of growth since the late 90s in our territory. So it obviously brings some challenges with it. I know some of you probably don't like the fact that we have so many people moving to our area, but the fact is they are, and they're enjoying the area that we live and call home, and we have new folks moving in every day. And we're just pleased to be able to support those folks on our electric lines and now internet lines that we're building all over our territory. With that said, we have over 11,000 miles of distribution electric line and that we serve almost 94,000 meter locations. So we're a pretty large cooperative as far as the state of Texas and even in the nation. And so that's been a benefit to you, the member, because the more folks that we have on our system, we have I guess a good ability to spread those costs over more people. So that's a good thing. Another thing to bring up is our member dividend program. We've been able to retire a significant amount of capital back to you as members of the cooperative. But I will talk today that with our challenges from the Winter Storm Uri and the financial side of that, we may not be able to do that this year for the first time in a long time. Our goal is to do it, but we're not quite sure yet, so we're looking into that right now. I'll talk more about that here in a second. So moving forward, there's no doubt that all of us have dealt with the pandemic and had to go through that over the last basically year and a little bit more. It's been a challenge for your cooperative as well. We've tried to maintain business as much as normal for you, the members, but I know that many of you got to experience some of the challenges with us as far as the pandemic. But we tried to do the things as our members would expect us to do and be helpful to our members in all the ways that we could. But to talk about the winter storm a bit, you'll see a slide. If you see it, it says Winter Storm Uri, Texas-sized failure ? And this slide is a slide I presented at a national conference recently to talk about the challenges that we dealt with here in Texas as a result of the storm, and they were very significant, as you're very aware. As far as how we got into that role or that challenge that we dealt with, there's no secret that it was a very cold event. Through that event, it was historically cold and beyond what anyone had prepared for in the state of Texas. It was a big challenge for generators all across Texas. And so a number of things happened, basically the Sunday night going into Monday morning, and all of it came together in about an hour and a half. And I have a slide here to show you that, and it's information that's available through the ERCOT website that actually shows what happened in about an hour and 20 minutes right after midnight, when everything sort of went bad, if you will. And the graph shows the frequency of the ERCOT system, and the goal is to keep our frequency of the electric system at about 60 hertz. When it slows down, sort of like a record player, the music doesn't sound so good, the grid doesn't operate so well when it goes below the 60 hertz. And you'll see in that graph it did that dramatically in that hour and a half right after midnight. And in order to fix that, one of two things has to happen. Either more generation has to come online, or we have to remove load from the system. There was no more generation to bring online in this event, so the only solution was to remove load from the system. So ERCOT reached out to all of the utilities and asked us to start curtailing load, which we all did. And all of you as members got to see that and experience that. One thing I'll tell you, you'll see there's sort of a valley in this on this chart, and it's a little red blurb there. And basically, we were within about 4.5 minutes from a system-wide blackout in the state of Texas. And so the fact that we started shedding load or turning you off throughout the state, not just United, but all across the state, is what kept the grid from going completely dark. And so we did our part here at United, and other utilities did their part too, and we did everything we could, and we were successful in keeping the lights on in Texas, which is a really good thing. Had we not done that, the property damage and the loss of life would have been significantly greater. Even though it was tremendous as it was, it would have been significantly worse. And so I'm grateful that it wasn't. I'm sure you are as well. Now, specific to United, I got a little bit of information for you about how many times we shed load. And we had what we call a cycle of turning someone off and turning someone back on. We have to do it at the substation level. And so when we turn folks on and off, it's larger groups of people. And so it's not just ones and twos of you. It's larger groups, hundreds at a time, all across our system. We did that over 4,000 times, 4,000 cycles of turning folks on and off. The average time that our members were out was about 30 minutes. and the average time of restore time, so when you were on before we turned you back off again, was about 50 minutes. And so I was one of those at my home that was being curtailed too. The comments that I've gotten back from many of our members is that it was much better to do it that way than to turn you off for days at a time. And so we practiced this. We practiced it the week before because we knew there was a high likelihood that load shed would be required. And so our engineers and operators were ready for this event, and I think they did a superb job keeping the lights on for our members of the cooperative. Now, not everybody saw an outage, and if you're looking at the chart that I'm showing you now, about 2/3 of our members saw an outage at some point in time. About 1/3 of you didn't. The reason that the 1/3 of you didn't was primarily two pieces. Number one, you were either on a circuit that happens to serve something else very important, like a hospital or a natural gas processing facility, or you were in the bucket of we can't turn you off because we may need you to save the system if it gets worse, and that's called under frequency relaying. I'm not going to get technical with you, but a number of you never saw an outage because you were in one of those two buckets. But about 2/3 of our members saw an outage at one time or another. Yeah, another, I guess the key point that I'll sort of end on with this event, and we've had a tremendous amount of questions about this, is how is it going to impact United? And now that we're several months away, you would think that ultimately there's no real impact to United. You saw while your usage may have been more during that time, our rates never changed during that time. Our rate stays stable. And so ultimately you just paid for the energy that you used, and you didn't pay more for it, as you saw many stories across the state of Texas. Well, not a lot of folks have paid for it. What most utilities did as a result of the storm is they took their credit card, so to speak, out, and they put all the cost of the storms onto their credit card, and they haven't sent those costs to their consumers yet. Well, we've done sort of the same thing at United. We haven't been billed those costs because our generation and transmission cooperative, Brazos Electric Cooperative, ended up filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which is reorganization bankruptcy. The reason that was done, ultimately, Brazos didn't have a credit card big enough to put those costs on. It's public data. You can see it. But in ERCOT, Brazos Electric owes ERCOT about $1.9 billion today. And so that hasn't been paid, and that hasn't been paid because Brazos chose to file bankruptcy as opposed to passing those costs on to the 16 distribution cooperative owners of Brazos, United being one of those. And so the question, I get a question sometimes about this, is what is the relationship between Brazos and United? Brazos Electric Cooperative is a corporation on its own. It has 16 different owners, and United is one of the owners of Brazos. As far as how Brazos makes decisions, we get input into that, but we don't get final decision-making authority at Brazos. Brazos does that on their own with their own staff and their own board of directors. But we do give input into that. Regardless of that point, we're evaluating on behalf of our members, did Brazos do everything it could have done to ensure, basically, to help all of us individually as members, me being one too. And we really don't have all the answers to that yet. The second thing, Brazos is in bankruptcy right now, and so there's a stay that basically says Brazos can continue doing business as Brazos while all of this is figured out. And part of that is each creditor or interested party in the bankruptcy is paying attention very closely to what's going on, and United is one of those parties as well, as you can imagine. And so we have hired a very good legal team and a very experienced financial analysis team to ensure that basically we're taking care of our members. And the ultimate goal for us is to do everything we can to protect you as we go forward in this event. And I'm almost done talking about it, but just to give you some understanding as to the cost that has not been passed on to us yet at United from Brazos, there's been some estimates that have been discussed, and those estimates are billing anywhere from about $1.80 to $2 per kilowatt hour for every kilowatt hour that is used in the month of February. To put that in perspective, your average rate, most of you paid around 8.5 cents a kilowatt hour during the month of February to United. And that's all in cost, so that includes Brazos cost and transmission and distribution cost. The cost from Brazos that could be from $1.80 to $2 a kilowatt hour is normally about 5 cents on your bill. So that gives you some perspective of what we could be dealing with if we didn't try to protect you here, and we're doing everything we can to do that. And so I can't answer right now what the end result of all this is going to be until the bankruptcy is complete, but know this, we're doing everything we can to protect you from things that we at your cooperative had no basically input on. And so there's nothing that United, the staff, your board of directors could have done any differently from where we sit to impact what happened at Brazos. And that's sort of disconcerting considering where we're at today. But I just want to let you know we're doing everything we can to protect you as we go forward. I wanted you to be aware of that. You may have questions, please enter them in or ask by hitting *3, and I'll cover those. But with that said, we're in a holding pattern right now, and I don't know if any of you have flown before where you're getting a situation where you're going around the airport, and you see the airport down on the ground, and you just keep going around it. It gets pretty frustrating to do that because you're wasting time. You really want to be on the ground. You don't want to run out of gas as you're circling the airport, but at some point the plane's got to land, and the same thing here. At some point we're going to get to the end of this and have a situation where we know the answers, and hopefully the cost that we have to accrue is not significant as we go forward. Now to move on to some other topics that you might be of interest because of the bankruptcy and the situation. We did have some facilities expansion plans, and I've been talking about that in our Co-op Power magazine for some time. Unfortunately, we've decided to put those on hold, waiting to see how the Brazos situation unfolds. That includes the Cleburne office. We were in the process of about to reconstruct that location to add more, basically, spaces for employees and to be an internet hub for us as far as our support for you. We put that on hold. Another location that we were about to establish is a Mansfield location, because those of you that know the Johnson County area, the Mansfield area is growing significantly, and we don't have a presence there right now. And we believe that's the right thing to do to support our members in Northeast Johnson County. But we've also put that on hold right now, too. And so we don't like the fact that we've had to do that, but we've done it to be reasonable and basically, hopefully, we'll get over this hump. But in the meantime, we had purchased recently a building in Joshua. It was the Wells Fargo location in Joshua, and that will be our Joshua office. We were intending that to be a temporary solution, but it appears like we may have to be using that a little bit longer term than planned. But we got it at a pretty good deal, and so we feel like when we're done with it and we're able to do these other projects, we should be able to sell it and actually make a little bit of money for the benefit of our members. So I think that's a good move that your board of directors allowed us to do. Now the next item for you to be aware of, the meter changeout mandate. And I've talked about this in the past, and we've had articles in our Co-op Power about it as well. A number of you already have had your meter change done, but we started changing our meters out last year because we have to. The technology that we're using, the vendor basically called us and said in 22 we're going to stop supporting those meters. And so when your vendor calls and says we're not going to support you any longer, it forces you to make some changes, and that's pretty much what's happened to us. We did slow it down a little bit through the winter storm, but we've now picked back up on our progress of that. The good news is we're pretty close to the end of the life of the meter anyway. We were within a year or two of where we wanted to be, so we're having to change them out about a year or two earlier than we planned, but it's going to provide quite a bit more capability for us as we go forward to serve you better, and that's really important to basically provide you the best service, exceptional service as possible. So that's what we're doing there. If you have any questions, please let me know. As far as your annual meeting, we've unfortunately had to cancel that in the normal form that it was in last year and did it online only. And we used the same platform to do that this past year. We're going to do that again, but because we can't really bring everybody together in the Glen Rose ISD situation that we've done in the past, we're going to shift our annual meeting to basically a member appreciation day at every local office on Friday, October 15th. And so during basically and leading up to lunch, we're going to have some food at each of those offices and have some gifts and those kind of things for you as members. And so I'm really looking forward to meeting with each of you at the different local offices. Of course, I can't be at all of them, but I'll probably be at the Burleson location. But I think that everything is going to go well, and we'll wrap that up at 4 p.m. with a basically meeting similar to what we're doing right now. And so if you want to join us online for the actual annual meeting, you can do that at 4 o'clock that afternoon. So I hope you'll take time and meet with us on that Friday. One of the last few things I want to talk about today before we get into Internet, which I see a lot of questions coming in about Internet, is the rate adjustment that was supposed to take place on April 1st. Your board of directors, after the winter event, made a decision along with the staff to not implement our rate adjustment that we had planned to take place on April 1st. The good news is we, way back when, at our last rate increase in 13 and 14, we had done a study and we thought we could get to about 2021 until the next rate increase would be necessary, and we did that. So that's good news, and we haven't had to have a rate increase for some time, but 2021 we need to do it. Well, the reality is we didn't feel like it was the right time after the winter storm to hit our members with that. Even though it's a small increase, we still didn't feel like it was the right thing to do. And so we purposely adjusted that rate increase to take place on October 1st. And so that's what you're going to see happen later this year. And so you can see how we stack up against the wires competition that's around us. You'll see in the green on the slide is 3.3 cents per kilowatt hour. That's going to be our new rate effective October 1st. And if you compare that to Oncor in Texas, New Mexico, Oncor's 3.66 cents, and then Texas, New Mexico is 4.4 cents. So even after our rate increase on the distribution wire side, we're going to be more competitive than our other competitors around us as far as wires go. So that's a really big thing to say, because those two other companies are very dense. They're investor-owned utilities, and being a rural electric cooperative and being able to be cheaper than they are is saying a lot about your staff and your board of directors and how we keep cost front of line. The rate watch that we put in our magazine each month, I hope you see that. You'll see that we're cheapest, and we have been the cheapest in North Texas for a very long time. And we still maintain that spot, and we'll still be at the bottom of the list after the rate increase goes into effect October 1st, assuming the rates from everybody else stay similar to what they are today. On that graph, if you're looking at it, or if you look in your co-op power, you'll see far to the left there's two other rates listed as United Solar rates. And for those of you that aren't aware, we started a community solar program a few years back, and it's been a very good program for our members. We have over 5,000 members participating today. I wish I could tell you could sign up today, but unfortunately you cannot because of the Brazos bankruptcy situation. There's a few contracts that we have right now that we don't know how they're going to end up in bankruptcy, so we've sort of held the line on signing up any new members to those programs. But we're hopeful as of right now that those contracts will continue through bankruptcy and that we'll be able to open sign-ups back up for that. So if you want to sign up, you can still call in and we'll put your name on a waiting list. But for those that have signed up, you're still getting your energy part of it from the solar program because those contracts are still active right now. And those that are doing it are saving money right now. So I would highly encourage you to do it if you're not participating in that today and get on our waiting list. Now I want to jump into Internet. I know most of our questions have to do with Internet, so I'll jump into that. Just a reminder, a couple years ago we came to our members because you asked us to do this. And so our board of directors basically sent a vote out, a ballot to each member of the electric cooperative, and 91% of our members that returned ballots said go forward with this project. And that was a very significant number of votes that we got back, and 91% of those said go, and so that's what we've done. And we have a lot of folks actually enjoying fiber internet services now at your cooperative, and we're trying to build this infrastructure out as quickly as we can. Our plan is to build at least 4,200 miles of fiber. We're about 1,400 miles built right now, which is significant, and we're continuing every week, trying to add 25-ish miles per week as we go forward. And so we have a really good contractor, Johnson Communications, working in our communities for us. They're doing a great job representing the cooperative and getting this work done. As a reminder, this is a 5-year project, and we're about not quite a year and a half into it, just a little bit over a year since we started actually building it. And so we're pushing as quickly and hard as we can to get this accomplished. We have had to learn a few things on internet, there's no doubt, but the bottom line is we're fixing those few minor issues, and we've got a really good, solid service. At my house, I just got connected here in the last month. I've been waiting on it, just like many of you have been waiting on it, and I'm extremely pleased with the level of service compared to what I was getting with AT&T. I'm sure many of you that have switched over feel the same way. I can tell you my daughter, she has a dual credit through Hill College and has continually had problems when we were on AT&T getting things to work. And we got it right before she finished her semester up, and she was actually able for the first time at our home to finish all of her work without having to shift over to the telephone hotspot. And so it was a really good thing for us at our home, and I'm sure it will be for you as you connect to the system as well. And so to talk a little bit about how many folks we have, we've got 4,500 plus that we're serving now. And so that's a bunch of members that are enjoying high-speed internet, 3 different speeds that we're offering, 100 meg, 500 meg, and a gig service. I can tell you one of the challenges that we're having on the gig service level is that our network is much faster than basically what you're connecting to it, and so, which is a good thing because that means you can connect a lot of devices and do everything you want at the same time. And the network is very fast. The technology we're using is state of the art, and I think our members are seeing that as they connect to the system. And so I hope that you'll join us and join our internet network. You'll be very happy that you did. I do have a slide showing that shows our backbone that we're in the process of building right now. And before we can serve an area, we have to build the backbone into that area, which is sort of the main lines, if you will. Once we build the main lines, we can build the distribution lines. And so we have built all the lines around Johnson County. We're working on the lines in Hood County right now, and we built a significant amount of lines in Erath and Hood and Somerville County, and we're now moving into Bosque County and Parker counties as we speak. And so once we get those lines done, as we have in Johnson, then we can start adding members to those services. And so that's all good news for you. If you go to our website at ucs.net, you can see our status, and if you haven't signed up yet, you can actually sign up on our website, and we will get with you when it's in your area. And so hopefully that answers those questions for you. I'm sure you'll have some more questions for me as we go forward, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap up my comments now and allow the moderator to say just a few things.
Cameron, thank you very much for your presentation and all the information you provided to us and shared with us, and the deep dive on the winter storm as well. As a reminder for everybody that is on the call with us or listening online, this is an interactive forum, and we would love to hear from you. So if you're listening in on the telephone, all you need to do is press *3 on your telephone keypad, and you'll be placed in line to speak with a member of our staff who will take down your name and where you're calling from. Then the next time you hear your name, you'll be live on the call and able to ask your question. Now, if you're streaming the event online, you can simply type your name and question below the streaming player. So those are the 2 mechanisms you can use to get a question asked. Matter of fact, we've got an online question to start with, submitted by John, who asks, what is being done to prevent future outages? I see building going on everywhere. How can there be enough power in the future?
That's a great question. And, at your cooperative, we are very aggressive as far as our engineering practices to ensure that we build our system to meet the future growth that we see here in our area. And so we do what we're supposed to do to make sure that we can support local growth as far as to the lines and to the transmission lines. Now, what I think you're alluding to is what about the generation side of this equation? And so, not only do we have to have the distribution lines and transmission lines, we also have to have the generators in order to serve all the new houses and businesses that are coming to Texas. As far as United is concerned, we don't control generation assets in ERCOT. We don't own any generation assets in ERCOT, and so that's not really our responsibility per se. But our goal is to ensure that either through Brazos or ERCOT, we do all that we can to support to ensure that everybody understands the situation and how much generation has to be there to support the grid. It's really ERCOT's responsibility to ensure the reliability of the electric grid and ensure there's enough that the market is stable enough to support it. But the way it works in Texas, and this may not be what you want to hear, is the generation market is a free market in Texas, and so it really is up to folks to spend money to add generation on their own. So generation companies, wind generation companies, et cetera, they basically determine when or not or to build generation in ERCOT. And the good news is ERCOT is projecting that we're going to have significant reserve margins, which means a lot more generation than load for the next several years. So we're hopeful that analysis is accurate and that the folks that say they're going to build new generators are going to actually build them like they say. But as of right now, ERCOT, the data that they shows that there's going to be a very good amount of generation to cover the growth that we're seeing in Texas.
All right, moving now to a phone call. We've got Stanley on the line with us. Welcome to the call, Stan. Go ahead with your question. You're live.
Yes, sir. I was inquiring about the February storm charges that you said could go up to $2 an hour per kilowatt hour. I bought some property in May. Is that going to be my charge or the previous owner's charge if it does go that route?
That's a really, really good question, Stan. I appreciate you asking it. And so it's a complicated answer, but I'm going to try to make it simple. We don't know what we're actually going to get billed for the usage that occurred in February. We don't have that yet. That hasn't been passed to us from Brazos. To the extent that they do bill us some large amount of money or small amount of money, whatever it is, it will be spread across the entire rate base at United. And so I don't think it's going to be super significant to anybody, any one member, because we've already billed everything from February based on what was billed to us from Brazos. But to the extent there's some amount that we have to spread across all the members, it could have a small increase on everybody's bill going forward. So that's one of the benefits of being a member of the co-op is how we design our rates is we try to share cost across the entire organization, everybody that's connected to us. And so those costs would be leveled out over a longer period of time and also across the entire membership. So it shouldn't have a significant impact to any specific member.
All right, our next caller is Christine. Christine, welcome to the call. You're live. Thank you for your patience. Go ahead with your question, please.
Yes, I know that we don't have it yet, but I know the high-speed internet is coming to our area probably in a couple of months. But I was just wondering if are you going to be offering anything else later on, like a TV or phone service at all? You might do that.
Christine, thank you for your question. Yes, it's an excellent question. We get that question all the time. We just enabled phone service because we know a lot of our members want to keep their phone number and keep their hardline phone number active. And so we've just enabled that. I'm using it at my home actually as well. I wanted to keep my phone number. And so we've just turned that service up. We also offer some other services in-home as a part of the internet. If you want to pay a little extra, you can have your UPS that we provide which is an uninterruptible power supply. We can do wireless extenders in your home for a small charge. So there are other things that we can do for you to support you at your home. I see in the future we may even help you with smart home services as well. We don't do that today, but I can see us doing that going forward. As far as the TV, we spoke to a bunch of other electric cooperatives that are doing internet and looked at the services that are available, like Hulu and YouTube TV and others, and we feel like there's probably enough online content in order to meet your needs instead of us setting up our own video service. And so we sort of shied away from doing that because so many other options exist. So, but the answer to your question is yes, we're going to provide quite a few services once you have the pipe into your home.
Thank you for that information, Cameron. As a reminder for everybody listening in on this conversation, now is a great time to press star 3 on your telephone keypad to enter the question queue to ask a question of Mr. Smallwood live during this call. Again, if you're listening in on the telephone, all you need to do is press star 3 to enter the question queue. If you're listening on our website, you can type your name and question below the streaming player. So again, if you're on the telephone with us for this conversation today, please press star 3 to ask a question. If you're listening through the internet, all you need to do is type your name and question below the streaming player. And now we go to Miss Mary. Mary joins us live on the phone. Welcome to the call, Mary. What is your question?
Hi, thank you very much. So mine is different. I want to know what we as UCS customers can do to help UCS and even Brazos, because I really appreciate how you guys have taken care of us. So I know it's kind of an odd question, but is there anything that we can do as homeowners or as just members of UCS that can help you?
Mary, I really appreciate your question. I think that one of the things that in the articles that I've written in Texas Co-op Power, if you were able to see them, if not, I'd encourage everyone on the call to watch our Texas Co-op Power magazine every month. Legislatively, we were looking for some solutions there because what happened in the ERCOT market really it affected different parties different ways. And to be honest, Brazos took the brunt of some of what happened in the ERCOT market. It's not necessarily completely Brazos' fault. Some of the things that happened just hit Brazos harder than it hit some of the other folks in the ERCOT market. So we were advocating with our representatives and our senators in the state to do certain things with some of the bills that were going to be passed as a result of the ERCOT challenges that we're seeing. The governor a few days ago passed Senate Bill 2 and passed Senate Bill 3. Those are two bills that don't really affect the financial situation in ERCOT, but hope to help it from being where it was in February again. Some of the things that we advocated were included in those bills, but unfortunately none of the financial aspect was taken care of, and none of the ERCOT market issues were taken care of with those bills. And so there's two other bills that haven't been signed yet, but they're probably going to be from what we understand, and they did not end up helpful to the UCS Brazos situation. Unfortunately, even though we were working with our legislators to try to make them that way, I can't really answer as to why that happened the way it did, but we were trying to get our case heard, if you will. So at this point, there's really not a whole lot that you can do at this point. I wish I could tell you that there's more to do, but the legislature sort of spoke on the issue, and now we sort of have to see how the bankruptcy court and the legislature works together to figure out how to solve the Brazos situation, because it is a problematic challenge for us. So thank you for your question. I wish I could give you more things you could do to help out right now. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot you can do at this moment.
So next up, here's an online question. The question is, how do we sign up for internet or find out when it's coming to my area?
That's a great question, Dirk. On the internet site, our website, ucs.net, you can actually go online there and see sort of our progress that we've shown on a map, you can also go ahead and sign up there. And I would encourage all of our members to do that regardless of whether it shows we're serving you anytime soon or not. That way we know, basically where folks really want us and where maybe they don't as much. And so our goal is to serve every member, and we're trying to get it done as quickly as possible. So we really need you to sign up and then go ahead and register online.
Thank you for that guidance. Now, as a reminder, if you've got a question, now's the time to press *3 on your telephone keypad to be entered into the question queue to ask your question live on this call. Again, all you need to do if you're listening in on your telephone is press *3 to enter the question queue to ask a question, Mr. Cameron, live. Matter of fact, we've got Mickey on the phone with us right now. Mickey, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please.
And I've heard rumors that...
Hello, Mickey. I can barely hear you.
I'm hearing rumors that we may have rolling blackouts this summer because of... Is that possible?
Okay. That's a great question, Mickey. Thanks for asking it. So I think she was a little hard to hear, so I'll restate her question. That she's heard rumors of rolling blackouts this summer. Are we going to have that again? I hope not. But I'll just be honest with you. There are some situations that could occur, even though they're highly unlikely, that could put us to where we would have to shed load again. I will tell you this, though. The generators that were offline during the February event are all back online now. And so when you look at all the generation in Texas that is back online right now, it is significant. And it appears, assuming there's not a major issue with existing generators in the summer, that we should have enough to avoid the rolling blackout scenario. Is it a guarantee? No, but we're not seeing the signs that we saw in February. We can say it that way. So I'm expecting not to see rolling outages this summer, but there is a small chance that it could occur.
Thank you very much for that answer, Cameron. And looks like your cheerleading squad has checked in online. Martha writes, "Thanks for all you do and for your excellent communication. We feel lucky to have you." So that's an online comment for you, sir. Moving next to a phone call, we've got Brandon on the line with us. Brandon, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please.
Thank you. I got on the call a little late, so if you covered this, excuse me, but Chisholm Summit is a planned community that's going to be built off of Chisholm Trail, and it's said that United will be providing the electricity for that community. How will the development of that, will it have any impact on the existing rollout plan for the internet? I personally am slated to get it here. I'm in the Keene area, so it should be coming to me fairly soon, and I'm sure it won't impact me. But as far as other areas that you would be doing in succession after this, do you plan to complete all of your existing customers before you have moved to that new community, for instance?
That's a great question, Brandon. Thanks for asking it. The way we're doing the internet, the good news is we've got a good number of contractors that are working for us right now. We have focused on members first, and so if you're a member of the co-op, we're focusing on you first before we go to non-members. We have, as you can imagine, we border cities and such where Encore serves or Texas, New Mexico serves, and we have their customers reaching out to us asking us to build the internet to them. We have made a decision not to do that. Even though they're close and they might be easy to add, we've decided that we're going to focus on our members only. Now, as far as Chisholm Summit, I don't expect that to have any impact on our ability to continue rolling out to the rest of our members. But the fact that we will be serving all of Chisholm Summit development as it builds out electrically, that means we'll probably likely be also building out the internet as we build the electric infrastructure for that new development. But I don't expect to see any delays for the existing members and what we're doing there. So that's a great question.
So everyone that's listening in on this conversation, as a reminder, it's a live interactive conversation going on right now. It's a perfect opportunity for you to get involved and ask a question. All you need to do is press star 3 on your telephone keypad to be placed in line to speak with a member of our staff. They'll take down your name and where you're calling from. And the next time you hear your name, you'll be live on the call and able to ask your question directly. Now, if you're streaming the event online, you can simply type your name and question below the streaming player. We will do our best to answer as many questions as we possibly can today. But if we're not able to address your question today, please leave us a voicemail after the event by simply remaining on the line, or you can call our office at 817-556-4000. Again, our office number, 817-556-4000. And moving on, we've got Ellen joining us on the line. Ellen, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please.
Yes, I was wanting to ask, after we received the email for the residential service agreement saying that we're going to be getting the internet soon, about how long can we expect for that to actually, where we'll be able to get that?
Ellen, I hope that that's within a few weeks at the most. And so I will tell you, we have a challenge right now because of all the rain that we've had. We haven't been able to move as quickly on adding the fiber drops in the multiple areas that we're installing right now just because of the rain. As y'all are aware, everything, you walk in your yard and you start sinking in your yard right now. And so we're trying not to tear up yards and things like that. But, I think it looks like it's about to dry out. And so I'm hopeful that the rain will stop a little bit. And I don't want to say let's not have rain, but I know a lot of you want internet, and that'll help us accelerate rapidly if it'll stop raining, but hopefully within no more than 2 weeks.
All right, we've got a question submitted online from Lolly, who wonders, how often are we going to have maintenance on the internet service? Is this because it's new, or will it be ongoing?
That's a great question, Lally. So the 4,600 of you that have already connected to our system, you have seen some maintenance outages. We typically have those in the early morning, and so probably 95% of us are probably asleep during that time, but there's probably 5% of us that are, which don't include me, but 5% of you that are awake during 2:30 and 3 in the morning. And I do recognize that it does affect you when we do take a maintenance outage to upgrade a piece of software or something like that. What we're trying to do is prepare for the future. The situation that we're dealing with is the growth of the internet is going so rapidly, and y'all are using more of our capacity than we expected you to use. All of our consultants expected a certain thing, and all of you are using about 3 to 4 times more than any consultant expected. And that's caused us a little bit of a challenge, and so we're having to make some changes to our network a little bit sooner than we planned. And the good news is I think we're getting pretty close to finishing our maintenance outages and getting to a point where when we can do maintenance in the future, we can do it without taking a complete internet outage. So I do apologize for those. We have had a number of them. We've also had some transport outages, so similar to when Brazos has something on their system that's outside of our control, but it does affect us. We have a situation that's similar to that in the internet side because we do rely on some other companies to provide certain services to us, and we've had a few of those services go down without them telling us they were going down. And so we've tried to work with those different companies to get them to communicate better with us so we can prepare more accordingly. Because of that as well, we've decided to add even more vendors to our uplink service to Dallas to ensure that the service stays on going forward when somebody takes it out and doesn't tell us. And so we have learned some things being relatively new to internet in this area, but we do have great experience on our staff. We're just dealing with some things that they weren't expecting to be dealing with at this point. But the good news is we're about over that hump, and so you should see that go down dramatically going forward. But thanks for the question. It's a really good question. Most of our members don't even know it's happening. If we didn't send you the email and tell you that we were going to take maintenance, you wouldn't even know we're doing it. But it is affecting a small group of you, and we apologize for that.
So staying with online questions, we've got one that was submitted by Ted, who wonders, would adding solar to our home help the grid?
Yeah, that's a good question. First I'd like to speak to if you want to add solar to your home, please reach out to us at the co-op, because we can help you understand whether it would be beneficial for you financially to do that and even how much to add. We can help you out there. We also actually offer grants if you want to do that to help offset the cost a bit. So please reach out to us. As far as helping the grid overall, your small amount of solar isn't going to make much of a difference at the state level, but it might, depending on your economics and your situation specifically, help you out a little bit. But generally speaking, adding solar to your home, the payback on that is going to be over 10 years. And so it's sort of hard to do that and get a good positive return on your investment, because our rates are pretty low. And because our rates are so low, it really it doesn't pay back very quickly.
So moving back to phone callers, we've got Jamie on the line with us. Jamie, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please.
Yes, it's not a question. It's actually just a respect and acknowledgement of how hard you guys work. I've been a client with you all for over 20 years. When we first moved to the area, we were having constant outages. There was a transformer that was outdated or something years ago, and as we've evolved through the last 20 years, a lot of those issues have been taken care of, and now a lot of our outages are usually caused by storms or other things. But I just want to say thank you very much for all the hard work that your crew does, that your personnel do. I'm in the Burleson office quite often, and I've never been, I'm always greeted by name, and it's wonderful to know that you're associating with someone who's just as caring about you as you want to be about them. So I just want to say thank you very much, and I'm excited if I ever get my internet out here. It'll be exciting. I can give up that other slow one we have. But that's my 2 cents.
Well, Jamie, thank you so much for your comments, and we have an exceptional group of employees, and I think that's what you're talking about. And our employees understand our purpose and why we're here, and they understand it's to serve our membership. And you're obviously one of those members for over 20 years now, and we understand that we're here for you, and we get it. And guess what, Jamie? You are going to get internet. It's coming. And so just hang tight and sign up. Make sure you're signed up, and we're going to get to you pretty quick.
Moving on, we've got Scott on the line with us. Scott, welcome to the call. What is your question?
Well, my question's about the UPS you had mentioned earlier. Is it a whole home, or pretty much just to ensure that the internet keeps going?
Yeah, that's a great question, Scott. It is a small unit, so it's really made for the internet router and the internet ONT device that connects the fiber to the home. You could plug a few more things in it, but it's not large enough to put anything significant on.
All right, Cameron, thank you for clarifying that. Next up on the line with us, we've got Allison. Allison, welcome to the call. What is your question? Hello, Allison.
I think is it me?
Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead, please.
I'm sorry. My name is Landra.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But no problem. My last name's Allison, so always confused. Anyways, the question, first of all, I did want to also kind of piggyback on everybody else. I just want to let you know how much I appreciate being a part of the cooperative during the time, especially during that storm. Just really appreciate it, with everybody else having to deal with having absolutely no service whatsoever, no electricity, that we were even though being a part of the blackouts, I still felt blessed. So really, really appreciated that. The other question that I have, and I might have missed it, there was some program you were talking about earlier, something about if we're not a part of it, go ahead and get a part of it. Can you please remind me of that? I just missed it. It was on the electricity side early on.
Yes, Landra. Landra, that was the community solar program I was speaking of. And like I had said a bit ago, basically, it's closed temporarily because of the Brazos bankruptcy situation. However, I would recommend you, if you haven't signed up for the community solar program, go ahead and do so, and we can put your name on a waiting list. And once the Brazos bankruptcy thing sort of clears up, which we expect it will, we're hopeful that all the contracts that we have will stay in place. And assuming that that's the case, then we'll be able to start putting people back on the solar rate again. We have maintained those that are on it right now. Our contracts are still active, but we didn't want to add more folks to it, knowing that there's a possibility that it could go away or be modified in some significant way because of the bankruptcy. So it could save you money, but if you call in, and we'll get your name on that waiting list and get you on it as soon as we can. Good question.
So Cameron, just looking at the clock here, it looks like we're just about out of time, so we need to begin to wrap up the call. Do you have any closing thoughts for us?
Sure. Thank you, Dirk, and thank you for your time today, and the whole team for putting the call on today. We appreciate you logging in, and I just want to close with thank you for participating. Thank you for being the great members that you are. It's a joy to serve the people of Johnson, Bosque, Hood, Somerville, Erath, Parker, all the counties that we serve. They're just exceptional people, and we just enjoy serving each and every one of you. And just want to close with just know that we're doing everything we can to get United through this bankruptcy process at Brazos as clean as we can and at little impact as possible to the members as we go forward. So thank you for participating today, and we really look forward to seeing you on October 15th when we have our Member Appreciation Day. So thank you, Dirk.